All right, have you ever noticed how easy it is to point the finger at someone else when things go very wrong? We blame the RV dealership or the manufacturer for most of our RV problems. We blame the mechanic for our breakdowns sometimes, or maybe the doctor for making a wrong diagnosis. But what happens? What happens when no one takes responsibility? I talk a lot about responsibility. I've been doing that a lot lately and talking about authority figures. What happens when nobody steps up? When we just sit back and just wait for somebody else to fix things? Let me tell you about my wife's recent hospital stay. If you've watched the channel for very long, or at least recently, you know that she was in the hospital. But I'm going to use this as a metaphor for the reality that we have to take responsibility for our own lives, for just about everything. And it doesn't matter about your RV or your health or your finances or whatever, we have to accept responsibility. All right, so here's the deal. My wife was in the hospital for a week. And nowadays, that's an expensive hospital bill. I ain't seen anything, and hopefully Medicare is going to cover most of it. But what happened was, my wife, I'm going to give you some of the backstory, and when you hear the story play out, it's like, it just gets this sticky. It's called life. My wife got something called diverticulitis or diverticulosis. She had both of them. But whatever the worst one is, and she's had these things before, but it's really bad. She's had part of her colon removed. And without getting too gross, I've got a picture of it somewhere on my computer. I had the doctor. I said, take a picture of it when you cut it out. It looks like a giant flaming hot Cheeto is what they removed. So she's got some plumbing issues. But that was all gone. That was all fixed. Sorry, it came back. Doctor said there was like 3% chance of it coming back. Can't win the lottery, but she can win, a bad colon again. So she had this horrible bout with diverticulitis and sepsis, which is this bacterial infection. Apparently it can kill you. They put her on the sepsis alert. So she was in the hospital for a week. And her fever's high, and she's worried, and I'm worried. And so she's got high blood pressure. I've got high blood pressure. We have the same exact kind of medication. It's kind of a weird off, if you will, from the typical medication, but it works. And when we went to the hospital, we told her, here's the medication she's taking, but her blood pressure it's high. In the hospital, it goes high anyway, but it was high. And so after about the second half, I said, are you sure you're giving? I gave them, oh yeah, that's what we're giving. I said, man, that's... And so it was so high that they said that they needed to give her something because they were afraid she was going to have a heart attack or a stroke. Stroke is what it was. And so she starts reading up, and the medicine they were going to give her could give her a heart attack. And she said, I'm not going to take that. I said, are you sure you're giving her the right medication? And they said, we're sure. It took 5 days, and I had to bring the bottle from the house. That's what nobody told us. We've been saying for 5 days about the blood pressure medication. They just didn't listen. But it gets worse than that. In the very beginning, they give her this thing called Flagyl, which is like this super duper heavy duty antibiotic in an IV. And she has the reaction is heartburn, really, really bad. I mean, like she's going to die. And so the doctor said, get you some Maalox. So we give you some Maalox before you take the next bag of Flagyl. And thank God it worked. So she's got to get these continuous bags to try to get her healthy again. And nobody wants to take responsibility, but everybody is an authority figure in charge, coming in every so many hours, check your vitals, write it down and leave. So now it's the middle of the night. She calls me up and she says, honey, I can't take the Flagyl. I said, why? She said, because they don't have any Maalox in the hospital. What? They ran out of Maalox, and I can't take it unless I take the Maalox. They said, I'm just going to have to take it anyway. She says, I'm afraid to take it because it hurts so bad, blah, blah, blah. No problem. So I get up, I run to the pharmacy, I go to Walmart, pick up some Maalox, go to the hospital, and they said, you can't bring that into the hospital. You can't bring anything in. We have to administer the medication. But you don't have Maalox. But that's not Maalox from the hospital. And it was this, nobody knew what to do. So I snuck it to her. And she took it without the nurses knowing. And she was fine. The next day, they got some Maalox in. But nobody said, I'm sorry. Nobody said, I will fix the problem. The moral of the story, I want you to think of your life. Think of the things that you get involved in that you think are going to be really simple. I've been working on my swimming pool lately. Simple little issue. It's not simple. It's not easy, it's not fast, and it's not inexpensive. It's extremely frustrating. And no one wants to accept responsibility, but everybody has their hand out. 140 bucks an hour, I'll find the problem for you, and then we'll fix it. I'll go broke doing that. How do you feel about responsibility and authority figures? To me, there's got to be some kind of a balance between the two. When you take your RV to the shop, do you just leave it there and you go, well, I hope they fix it, whatever that means? Or do you try to diagnose first, use critical thinking and figure out first what is wrong with your RV, likely? At least you can rule some things out before you take it back and they say, well, now it's this and this and this. It ends up, a $500 job could turn into a $5,000 job, but it doesn't have to if you do some critical thinking and you accept responsibility. But like I started this thing out, how often do we blame everybody else except us? Being a happy camper, being a successful human being, business person, mother, father, being good at anything, I believe requires accepting some level of responsibility. Accept as much as you can possibly handle. And then hold people to their word. So that's my little story for today. I hope you can relate. It's a little bit frustrating, but I'm just telling you, when it comes to your health, your finances, legal situations, you're on your own. You may think that somebody's going to rush in and help you. They will rush in as long as you keep paying them. I heard that there are 3 different careers that where they answer in, just bear with me, 3 different things where the answer should be, most of the time, don't do anything. Just stick with the course. Don't do anything. That has to do with finances, law, what was the other one? Finances, law, and health. That most of the time, the people that are your financial people, your legal people, and your health people, if they get you wealthy, healthy, and you don't need them, they go broke. They need you on the line. And so most of the time, according to this thing I was reading, the best thing to do pretty much is nothing except critically think, accept responsibility, weigh the good and the bad, and be your own captain. And don't just give a blank check to somebody else to, well, I think you need to do this. Okay. Does any of this make sense? I certainly hope so. All right. Thank you so much. We are into October. If you have not yet winterized your RV, now's a really good time to do it before the weather gets really cold, because most people procrastinate, put it off, and all of a sudden it drops way down into the 20s. Like, oh my God, got to get some of that pink stuff. And too late. They're sold out. Don't put it off. All right, thanks so much. If you would, make sure you give this video a like, hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications to all. I am Alan Warren, the RV Wingman, reminding you to be the best wingman or wingwoman that you can possibly be. Help others. Be responsible. Be thoughtful. And keep your word. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.